Welcome to a very special ranking video, as today is August 2nd of 2024, which means it's my birthday. Now, last year on this channel, I uploaded a video where I ranked my favorite movie from each year of my life, which is actually a fun movie or fun video to do, but it's not necessarily a fun video to redo because I'm talking about the same movies over and over again every year, most likely, and then adding one more movie to the rankings. So for this year, what I want to do is actually do my top 100 favorite movies of all time. Yes, I'm going to be talking about 100 movies in this video. Obviously, with how many movies I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to limit how much I talk about each movie. Probably around 10 seconds to 30 seconds max. I want to keep this video under 50 minutes, possibly around 40 minutes if I can. There's going to be a lot of movies that are critically acclaimed on here, and there's going to be a lot of movies that aren't that good compared, in some people's opinion. This video is my personal opinion. If I talk about a movie that's won Oscars, like a bunch of Oscars, and then I talk about a shitty movie that's ahead of it, in your opinion, it's just my opinion. But before I get into all that, a few things I want to cover. If you're a fan of this channel, like the content that I do, and you like the ranking videos that I do, make sure you Hulk smash the like button. Share this video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on my ranking. If you have a ranking of your own of 100 movies, please leave that in the comment section. Or if you've done a video ranking your top 100 favorite movies of all time, I'll definitely check it out. Maybe not right away, but I'll definitely check it out. Unless I get like 1 million people to comment, then I might be a little overwhelmed. But definitely leave a ranking if you have one in the comment section. And of course, subscribe to the channel. You're watching the video anyway. I'm going to put my Venmo in the description. If you want to donate because it's my birthday, I don't expect a donation, but if you want to give me like 10 to however much money that you want to give me because you like my content, it'll help me out. It's my birthday. I deserve a treat every now and then. I figure this, if I have like 7 to 8 people that donate like $10 to $15, that would pay for the next UFC event that I get. So I'll put it down in the description. If you don't have the money, don't worry about it. It's not something that I require obviously. This economy shit, and it's a shit show right now. But if you want to donate because it's my birthday, help me out, get me a gift, whatever. I'll spend it on something that I would normally have to spend the money on. It would be appreciated, but again, not a requirement. Again, this video, my personal opinion. There's going to be critically acclaimed movies that are lower ranked than some would call cheesy movies. So, got all that out of the way. Let's get the ranking. Coming in 100th place will be Star Trek from 2009. Never thought I'd watch a Star Trek movie. Saw this on Epix On Demand. It has Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto. It was a lot of fun, and it made me a Trek fan. I haven't watched the TV show, but I have watched the movies. Coming in 100th place, The Notebook, many females' favorite movie of all time, with Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. A fun movie, a love story, also has James Gardner in it, and I really like it. Coming in 98th place, Gone Girl, an interesting movie with Ben Affleck. You got Tyler Perry in here. A fun, interesting psychological drama thriller. It's an interesting movie, and I like it. It's directed by David Fincher, who I tend to like, actually, some movies. Coming in 97th place, we have American Reunion, the 4th theater movie in the American Pie franchise. I really love the movie. It's got some laughs. It's got a lot of good stuff in it, and it brings the whole cast back together again. Coming in 96th place, we have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. What a great, fun, scary thriller movie. You have the return of Michael Myers, and he's going after Rachel and Jamie Lloyd, who Jamie Lloyd's played by the great Danielle Harris. And it's just a great movie, a great ending, and really, tension is great in that movie. I said great way too many times there, and I just realized in my notes, I put Halloween 4, The Curse of Michael Myers. Luckily, I said The Return of Michael Myers. Whew, don't want to make that mistake ever again. Coming in 95th place, we have Maid of Honor. We have Patrick Dempsey being like the best man of a female, or he's like the maid of honor for her. They're like best friends, and then she decides that she wants to get married. It's a rom-com, but I really like the movie quite a bit, actually. Coming in 94th place, we have Tango and Cash. A great buddy cop movie with Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell with some drama, some comedy, and some action. It was high up on my Sylvester Stallone ranking, obviously. My favorite actor of all time. Coming in 93rd place, we have Resident Evil Apocalypse, the second movie of the Resident Evil franchise, which brings in some very popular video game characters, such as Jill Valentine and in Carlos, and it was a lot of fun. I really like it. And of course, you get Nemesis, and Nemesis is badass. It should have been called Resident Evil Nemesis, but they didn't want to copy Star Trek Nemesis, even though they have a game called Resident Evil Nemesis. I don't know, but I like it. Coming in 92nd place, we have 2012, a Roland Emmerich disaster film. He kind of does disaster films for all of his movies. You have Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, Moonfall. It's got John Cusack, Amanda Peet, Woody Harrelson, Danny Glover, Oliver Platt. A bunch of other people are in it, but I really like the movie. I really like the characters in the movie. And while it's very far-fetched, like some of the stuff that happens, it's really entertaining too. Coming in 91st place, I'll probably get canceled because this movie is too low on the ranking. There's just some movies that I rather would rewatch, and that's my main thing is rewatchability and how much I like the movie. But in 91st place, we have Goodfellas. Yep, I know. It's too low. A movie directed by Martin Scorsese, a really crazy movie with Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta. It's definitely a lot of fun, and it probably is too low, but there's 90 other movies that I would rather watch at the moment than Goodfellas, but these are interchangeable, some of these. I could, like 10 of them, like the groups of 10 could flip-flop and be in different places on a different day. So that's the first 10 of this ranking. Coming in 90th place, a very fun movie that the whole family can enjoy, Back to the Future. Now, obviously, I'm showing the box set. I'm specifically talking about the first one, although I do really like the second one. What a fun joyride with Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, amongst other people. Really enjoyable movie. Hopefully they don't ever reboot it because I don't think it would be the same, but definitely like it. It's moved up my list. Although it's lower compared to some people, it would be in their like top 10, top 20. But Back to the Future, number 90. Coming in 89th place, True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. A fun action spy movie with some comedy as well. You also have even Bill Paxton in the movie, Elijah Dushku, Tom Arnold. Just a fun action, crazy action movie that Schwarzenegger, I think, excels in. Coming in 88th place. I said there's going to be some cheesy movies on this ranking that some don't like, but I have them ahead of Oscar winners. Like, this is ahead of Goodfellas, and that would be Short Circuit, a movie that I liked as a kid, like 7, 8, 9 years old. Still like it. Still think it holds up. It has Ali Sheedy, Steve Guttenberg, Fisher Stevens, amongst others. It's just a lot of fun about a robot that doesn't want to die, and they want to disassemble, number 5. So Short Circuit, number 88. Coming in 87th place, which I think this is too low for this movie, but there's just movies that I like more, and there's obviously movies that I would rather rewatch, and that's why they're higher ranked. But 87, Rocky Balboa. We finally get another Rocky film after the disaster that Rocky 5 was. Even though it's still a decent movie compared to some movies, it's just not that great of a Rocky movie. So Rocky Balboa, awesome movie with Rocky coming back to fight the current champion and Mason the Lion Dixon. You get all you get Uncle Paulie back in this movie. You add some people to the movie. You add a lot of drama, and it has a lot of heart as well. And it's got some great dialogue, especially that one part where Stallone's talking to his son. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. And I would butcher the line because it's not fresh in my head right now, so I'm not even going to try to say what it says. Coming in 86th place, we have The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, David Morse. Just a fun, like, crime drama thriller where you have corruption, you have a murder, and one cop, Samuel L. Jackson's being charged with the murder. So they bring in negotiator, not a cop, and then they bring in the other side of town, the negotiator, to try to figure out what's going on, Kevin Spacey, and I've always liked that. And my last ranking of my favorite movies of all time I did, which I did in 10 different videos, one a week, I forgot to include The Negotiator and Gone in 60 Seconds in my ranking. So I'm glad I remembered this time, but The Negotiator, definitely a good movie. Coming in 85th place, we have Don't Breathe, a psychological thriller with Stephen Lang, where some people want to rob this guy's house. He's actually blind, but they get more than they bargained for. And then there's some like secrets in the movie. Like, this guy is fucked up to a degree, but I would recommend I would recommend Don't Breathe with Stephen Lang if you like thrillers, horror thrillers, but it's more thriller than horror. But Don't Breathe, awesome movie directed by Fede Alvarez, who's directing the new Alien movie, Alien Romulus, that comes out in August. Coming in 84th place, we talked about Rocky Balboa, now we got to talk about Creed with Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan, continuing the legacy of Rocky, but adding Apollo Creed's son that he had before he died. It's fun. It's a great movie. A movie that nobody thought was going to be any good. But a movie like this doesn't deserve to be that good. But Creed is a really good movie. There's just movies that I like more than it. Coming in 83rd place, we have The Green Mile with Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan. Another movie with David Morse. So I've talked about David Morse in The Negotiator, and now he's in Green Mile. Just a great movie. Long movie, but a really, really good movie that makes you think about some things. But Green Mile, definitely recommend it. That's why it's in 83rd place. Coming in 82nd place, we have Avengers Infinity War, where you have a bunch of different people in the movie. You have Thanos winning in the movie until we get to Avengers Endgame. The theater was silent once the credit rolled. Like, people didn't clap. They were like, what the hell just happened in Avengers Infinity War? And then rounding out this column of the list, you have number 81, Final Destination with Devon Sawa. Death comes for these kids that were on a plane. They get off the plane, and death is still coming from them because the plane crashes. It's a fucked up movie. Like, it's kind of traumatic at parts because, like, I don't know. I just really like Final Destination, and I know they're making another one. It's not going to be regarding that one. At least I don't think it is, but definitely a good movie, and it's one that I always like to watch every now and then. Coming in 80th place, I have Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, a really fun comedy with a bunch of other people besides Jay and Silent Bob, and it just works. I remember having a great theater experience seeing that in 2001. Coming in 79th place, I have Wrong Turn with Elijah Dushku, Desmond Harrington, a really fun horror thriller with cannibals in the woods. Coming in 78th place, I have Captain America, The Winter Soldier, a fun movie with Chris Evans. You also have in this movie Scarlett Johansson, and it's just great MCU movies. My throat's a little tickly right now. Coming in 77th place, I've got Law Abiding Citizen with Gerald Butler, Jamie Foxx. The movie's crazy. You have this guy that has his family, sexually assaulted and murdered in front of him, and then he kind of goes away and then comes back and wants revenge, and he breaks the law, and he's just psychotic. And Jamie Foxx is the lawyer, and it's just a crazy movie. I definitely recommend Law Abiding Citizen. Coming in 76th place, we have Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet. A great movie. You already know what the plot is. I just got it on 4K, and it's a lot of fun. Even though it's Titanic, I also have The Notebook on the list, and I like them both. Coming in 75th place, I'm going with Brothers with Jake Gyllenhaal, Tobey Maguire, and Natalie Portman. I always talk about this movie. It's a great thriller, drama, really good movie, really good performances by all three, and I really don't like Tobey Maguire, so me saying that is something special. Check out Brothers. Coming in 40th place, actually coming in at 74th place, we have The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I saw 40 and said 40 when I meant to say 76. You already know this movie's hilarious. It's a great movie. Steve Carell does amazing in it. Really fun movie. I think towards the end it falls off a little bit because it gets a little artsy, but I still love The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Coming in 73rd place, I'm going with Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. My favorite Star Wars movie. I love the movie. Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher. It's just great. Billy D. Williams. I love it. I love the characters in this movie, and I love the ending, so definitely had to have that on the list. Coming in 72nd place, I have Draft Day with Kevin Costner, Jennifer Gardner. You also have Chadwick Boseman in the movie. Great movie, kind of centered around the NFL draft, especially with draft season coming up in like August and September. I would highly recommend watching Draft Day. And coming in 71st place, I went with Billy Madison, a fun Adam Sandler movie. The first Adam Sandler movie that I watched and loved. He called the shit poop. Just a great movie. Pee in Your Pants is cool. Love it. I love Sandler in the movie. Even though it's a little cheesy, I still like it. It's higher than Goodfellas, which, yeah, I know. Anyway, that closes out this section of the ranking. Coming in 70th place, I'm going with Ocean's 11. You have George Clooney. You have Brad Pitt. You have Andy Garcia, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, a bunch of other people. It's a heist movie, and it's quite fun. I used to rewatch this all the time when it came out. I haven't for a while, though, so I think I'm due for another one, but Ocean's 11, definitely check it out. Coming in 69th place, a movie that fans of the franchises were waiting for a long time, and then it finally happened. Freddy vs. Jason. The movie has some cheesy elements, but man, it's a lot of fun. Maybe this should be lower ranked on the list, but I saw this movie 10 times in the theater, so I've seen that movie more times in the theater than any other movie, and I really liked what I saw from the movie. Coming in 68th place, the new guy, whoosh, Crazy Eye, DJ Qualls, Elijah Dushku, Eddie Griffin, Zooey Deschanel. Really fun movie about a kid that transforms himself to go to another school, but it's all kind of like an act, and I love it. I liked it. I've watched it probably 50 times in my life. It's always a lot of fun. Coming in 67th place, I'm going with The Karate Kid. Me being a big fan of Cobra Kai, Karate Kid is a classic. It used to not be that high in my ranking, but with Cobra Kai, it's coming up there. It's such a good movie, and I'm a big fan of it, so check that out if you haven't already. In 66th place, there were 3 movies when I was growing up that I used to watch on a monthly basis all the time. One of those movies is The Monster Squad. It's like Stranger Things meets The Goonies. It's a lot of fun. It came out in 1987. There's not really any really big names in it, but it has the quote, "Wolfman's got nards," and "Aw, fat kid farted." It's such a good movie. Maybe a little dated, but I still like it, and I've rewatched it a couple times within the last couple of years, so big fan of Monster Squad. One of my favorites when I was growing up. Coming in 65th place, I'm going with Gone in 60 Seconds. Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, Delroy Lindo, Timothy Olyphant. Just a fun heist car movie with some cool cars and some really cool characters. Coming in 64th place, Air Force One. Get Off My Plane with Harrison Ford, Gary Oldman, Glenn Close. Just a fun thriller with some terrorists taking over Air Force One. And the President of the United States, Harrison Ford, has to save the day. Coming in 63rd place, I mentioned one movie growing up that I used to watch all the time. This is another movie growing up that I used to watch regularly on a monthly basis, and that would be 1989's Disorganized Crime with Ed O'Neill, Fred Gwynn, Lou Diamond Phillips, Corbin Burnson, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The guy that was in Fear the Walking Dead. Ruben Blades. Just a fun bank robbery movie. Little cheesy now, but I really loved it growing up in the late 80s, going into the 90s. And I must have watched it like at least 12 times a year for like the first 10 years that maybe not 10, for the first 5 years that I was out. So Disorganized Crime, check it out, underrated flick. Maybe a little cheesy now. Me being a fan of Dexter, I feel like this movie kind of resembles Dexter. Number 62 for me is going to be Mr. Brooks with Kevin Costner, William Hurt, Demi Moore. You have Dane Cook. Just a great psychological thriller, and I'm a big fan of it. So Mr. Brooks, 62nd. And then coming in 61st place, I'm going with The Rock with Nicolas Cage, Sean Connery, Ed Harris, another David Morse movie. He's been in a bunch of these movies. Kind of a background character that's in like 3 or 4 of the movies I've already talked about. But this is a good fun flick with Sean Connery being this dangerous criminal and Nicolas Cage being this scientist type that has to destroy some rockets because there's like gas that's poisonous, and it's just a lot of fun. So The Rock, if you haven't checked it already, you definitely want to check it out. Came out in 1995. Coming in 60th place, I'm going with Seven, a crime drama starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, Gwyneth Paltrow. Pretty sick and twisted, although a little slow, but it tells a really interesting story. And then the end is the most memorable thing. Coming in 59th place, I'm going with Hitch with Will Smith, Kevin James. Will Smith is the date doctor. He hooks this kind of nerdy guy up with a really popular chick that probably necessarily wouldn't happen. And it's just a lot of fun. Eva Mendes is in it as well, and I happen to like it quite a bit. Coming in 58th place, I'm going with Saw 2. You have the return of Jigsaw. You have Donnie Wahlberg. You have a house full of people that Jigsaw has put in a game. Whereas in the first one, it's just essentially 2 people. Now you have a whole house full. And I think the twist is less predictable than the first one. Because I predicted the first twist watching the movie for the first time. I'm like, okay, this is going to be what happens because there's too much focus on this particular thing. So, love Saw 2, my favorite in the Saw franchise. Coming in 57th place, I said there was 3 movies that I always used to watch as a kid. Monster Squad, Disorganized Crime, and Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, Robert Loggia. I really like this movie. I understand that the kid, Michael, in this movie is highly annoying, and I would probably smack the shit out of him. Well, I wouldn't, but in just talking. But I freaking love this movie, even though it has something to do with something I really don't care about, and that's arm wrestling. I've always loved the movie. I like the whole thing, and I like the soundtrack as well. It's got some catchy songs as well. So, Over the Top, Stallone's my favorite, and I like it. Coming in 56th place, another Stallone movie, we have Rambo from 2008. This is a brutal movie. This really is Rambo to the extreme. There's sexual assault, there's killing children in the movie. It's just violent as all hell, but it actually has an interesting story too, and I like it a lot more than I thought I would. This is actually the first Rambo movie I had ever seen, and I think it's a really good movie. So Rambo from 2008 is number 56. Number 55, my favorite movie in the Friday the 13th franchise, Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. You have Corey Feldman, you have Ted White as Jason Voorhees, you have a very dark and kind of creepy Jason. There's tension, there's suspense, and the cast of characters, the Crispin Glover, the Crispin Glover dance. It's just a fun Friday the 13th movie. If you want to introduce somebody to horror, you want them to see a good horror movie, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, definitely is one that I would strongly recommend. In 54th place, I have The Wedding Ringer. You have Josh Gad. He's marrying Kaylee Cuoco's character, and he doesn't really have very many friends. So he pays a guy to be his wedding planner and be like his wedding party, played by Kevin Hart, and it's just funny as hell. I love this movie. It's just a kind of a, maybe not a lot of people have heard of this one, but I like it quite a bit. Maybe because of Kaylee Cuoco, but The Wedding Ringer definitely is number 54. Coming in 53rd place, my second favorite movie in the Mission Impossible franchise, and that would be Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which now it's just called Dead Reckoning, but what a great movie. Tom Cruise continues to just deliver with his movies, although this didn't deliver in terms of box office numbers, but the movie, in my opinion, delivered quite a bit, and it was very entertaining. Upon first watch, I really liked it. It was a 5 out of 5. My second watch, I went down to a 4.5 out of 5, but still a fun movie and something that I really like. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is number 53. Coming in 52nd place, I'm going with Armageddon. You have Bruce Willis, you have Ben Affleck, you have Liv Tyler, you have Billy Bob Thornton, you have Michael Clark Duncan, you have Owen Wilson, you have Peter Stormare. Just a great cast of characters, and probably an unrealistic movie, but these characters you like, for the most part, most of them. Bruce Willis is amazing in this movie, and it's just a fun movie that's rewatchable, and the soundtrack, the Aerosmith song is amazing as well. So Armageddon, number 52. Number 51, love this movie, Blast from the Past, a rom-com with Brendan Fraser, Alicia Silverstone, David Foley, Christopher Walken, and Sissy Spacek. I've always loved the movie. It came out in 99, and I still love the movie, even though I know it's higher than Goodfellas. What can I say? I just absolutely enjoy watching this rom-com. In 50th place for me is The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock, Kathy Bates, Tim McGraw. A family takes in this kid, and he plays football and becomes like an all-pro lineman, offensive lineman. We don't necessarily know how 100% accurate it is, but it is based off a true story, and Sandra Bullock is my favorite actress of all time, and I think this movie is a lot of fun, and the kid in this movie, the little boy, is hilarious. So check out Blindside if you haven't already. Coming in 49th place, Houston, we have a problem. Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, Ed Harris, Bill Paxton, Gary Sinise, Kevin Bacon. Just a great movie about the Apollo mission. I don't know what accurate it is, but it's a lot of fun. I saw it in the theater. Some tension, some thrilling moments, some drama. It's good. If you haven't seen Apollo 13 yet, check this out. I had mentioned there's only one movie from the 1970s, and that's the oldest movie that's on this ranking. Well, we've gotten to that point. Number 48 for me is going to be Rocky II. Obviously, Sylvester Stallone is my favorite actor of all time, and Rocky II, I love it. It's got, of course, Stallone, Talia Shire, Burt Young. You have Burgess Meredith, Carl Weathers, rest in peace. Rest in peace to Burgess Meredith, too. But a fun movie. Rest in peace to Burt Young, as a matter of fact. In the ending, instead of a draw, Rocky stands up at the end. Spoiler, I guess. Yo, Adrian, I did it! Love Rocky 2. Coming in 47th place, I'm going with Enemy of the State with Will Smith, Gene Hackman, John Voight. You have a bunch of other people that are names that are like surveillance guys, like Jamie Kennedy, Jack Black, Barry Pepper. I'm forgetting a bunch of them already, but there's a lot of different people in this. Jason Lee's in the movie. A fun movie about surveillance. And like what they can do, what they can see, and this is now dated because it came out in '99. Just think of what they can do now. But I'm a big fan of it. Will Smith is probably my second favorite actor of all time, behind Stallone. But there's a big gap between Stallone and Will Smith. But Will Smith is great, and Enemy of the State is a pretty good, solid movie. Coming in 46th place, we have another movie that won a bunch of awards and Oscars and all that. But it's only in 46th place, and that would be Casino with Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Sharon Stone, James Woods. Really fun mob movie. Lots of drama, psychotic characters in the movie. Of course, directed by Martin Scorsese. We'll talk about him a little later, but it's a great movie. A little long, but still a lot of fun. The next movie, is it a better movie than Casino? No, but I like to watch it more than Casino. I've only seen Casino twice, and I've seen this movie probably, I don't know, at least 20 times. Probably more like 30, but I'll just say 20. And that is going to be Real Steel with Hugh Jackman, Evangeline Lilly, Anthony Mackie's in it as well. Just a fun movie. It's like Rocky with robots, but it's fun. I have fun when I watch it, and I want to rewatch it because of that fact. But I like Real Steel quite a bit. Great movie, but probably not a better movie than good Casino, but I still like it more than that. In 44th place, I'm going to go with another Oscar-winning movie with great actors in it. Rain Man. Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman. You've got brothers. The one brother is mentally challenged, but he's like got a talent for like, you can drop a bunch of toothpicks on the floor, and he knows how many toothpicks you've dropped. How? Not really sure how. He knows that, but he does. Rain Man. It's a classic. Sally gives Sally. So check it out if you haven't seen so already. Tom Cruise consistently delivers great movie after great movie after great movie. 43rd place, I'm going with Frequency with Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid. Fun movie about kind of like talking to somebody from the past while you're in the future type of deal. Big fan of Frequency. Jim Caviezel does a great job. And it's interesting, too, what happens in the movie. 42nd place, I'm going with Bad Boys from 1995 with Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, and Téa Leoni. Great buddy cop action movie. The first movie, essentially, that was the first big Michael Bay movie, but it wasn't quite Michael Bay type action. But I really like the original Bad Boys. I love the dialogue in this movie. In 41st place, we have another Tom Hanks movie, and that would be Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. Just a fun cat and mouse type movie that the whole family can watch, and great performances by Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. So if you haven't seen it already, which not a lot of people talk about this movie, check it out. Fun fact, I bought this when it came out and didn't watch it for like 5 years. Then when I watched it, I freaking loved the movie. So check out Catch Me If You Can if you haven't done so already. In 40th place for me is going to be The Fugitive, a drama suspense with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, where you have a man is accused of killing his wife, but it's actually somebody else that did it, but he's being framed for it. Real fun movie that came out in 1993, I believe. If you haven't checked out The Fugitive, definitely check it out. In the 39th place, I'm going with Limitless, a movie with Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro. Premise of the movie is you take this pill, and it really opens up your brain. Like, you can use the cortex of your brain that you normally aren't able to use, and it makes you malfunction really good and get a lot of shit done that you normally wouldn't be able to use. It actually had a TV series that followed this show that got canceled after one season. I really liked the TV series, though. And the movie, of course, I really liked as well. In 38th place, I'm going with Interstellar, a movie with Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Michael Caine, Casey Affleck, Jessica Chastain. A movie that I didn't like the first couple times that I watched it. But I recently watched it about a month or two ago, and I really liked it. Like, I understood all this stuff that happened that I didn't necessarily get or that I was complaining about before. Interstellar is good, of course, directed by the great Christopher Nolan. In 37th place, I'm going with American Pie 2. I was always a really big fan of this movie. I watched it, I don't know, within the last year. It aged a little bit on me, but it's freaking hilarious. The cast is hilarious. I feel like it was better than the first one. Now, I haven't watched the first one in a while, so maybe I need to rewatch the whole entire straight to theater versions of it, because remember, American Reunion was on this ranking as well. But I was a big fan of American Pie 2. Laughed my ass off in the theater. In 36th place, I'm going with Mission Impossible 3 with Tom Cruise. The villain in this movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman. and the stakes are raised. My favorite Mission Impossible movie, and now one of my favorite movies of all time. Really like the movie. Not everybody feels the same way about it as I do. Everybody seems to like Fallout, but I love Mission Impossible 3. Coming in 35th place, the only musical that's on this list. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. This movie's freaking hilarious. It's animated. It doesn't look good, but it's freaking hilarious. I laughed my ass off watching this movie three times. The first day it came out in the theater, I saw it 3 times. I don't go see movies 3 times on the same day anymore, though. In 34th place, many love this movie as an action movie, one of their favorite movies of all time. It's not quite that high for me, but I like it, and that would be the original Die Hard with Bruce Willis. A great movie with, we get to know John McClane, and we get to see John McClane for, 4 more movies after this one. A fun movie. I have some issues with it, but one can't deny how good that Die Hard is. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. In 33rd place, I'm going with Rounders, with Matt Damon, John Malkovich, John Turturro, about poker, playing a guy that loses it all and then like stops playing poker because he lost all his money, gambling, but has to get back in the game because his friend Edward Norton comes in. Worm, just a great movie. Especially if you're a person that played No Limit Texas Hold'em like I did for a long time. So definitely check out Rounders if you haven't seen it yet, although you probably have to know a little bit about the game of poker, especially No Limit Texas Hold'em. That's the Cadillac of poker. In 32nd place, I know T. Parker Evans would disagree with this, but I gotta do it. Scream 6. Awesome movie with Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, Hayden Panettiere, Dermot Mulroney. Just a great continuation of the Scream franchise. I know there are many flaws with the third act, like the last 20 minutes of the film, but man, was I super entertained despite the flaws, and I love it. It's endlessly rewatchable for me. I think I've watched this movie 9 times and have stayed awake and watched the whole movie 9 times. So I have to add it to my list because my big factor is rewatchability on movies, and I definitely love rewatching Scream 6. In 31st place, I'm going with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. What a classic with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, Robert Patrick. I mean, this is one of the quintessential action flicks. I know it's not super high on my ranking. It's only 31st place, but I can't deny how good this movie was and how good for its time it was. So definitely had to put Terminator 2 Judgment Day on the list. Coming in 30th place is actually the only movie that I don't own yet, and that would be our newest movie added to the list, Deadpool and Wolverine. Just hit theaters. What a fun ride for somebody that's a huge X-Men guy, a huge Wolverine guy. I really enjoyed the movie. It made me laugh. Lots of great action sequences. Lots of swearing for a Disney Marvel movie. And it was fun. Of course, there's some cameos in the movie that also make it enjoyable. So I had to put Deadpool and Wolverine on this ranking at number 30. Coming in 29th place, I'm going with Ready or Not with Samara Weaving. A fun movie about a family that plays a wedding game the night of the wedding. And this one is hide and seek. Well, for this family, hide and seek means kill their bride before the sun comes up. Crazy fun movie and a lot of screaming by Samara Weaving. In 28th place, I'm going with Rocky IV. Rocky takes on Ivan Drago to avenge his friend and newest mentor, Apollo Creed's death, which happens in the movie. I guess that's a spoiler, but I'm sure everybody knows that already. Rocky IV is awesome. Hearts on Fire, great soundtrack, and every song is great. Love this movie. It's went so high up my list over the years, and I think Creed 2 had a way of making that movie even better. In 27th place, I'm going with Face Off. with John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, where Travolta is the good guy, Cage is the bad guy. We think Nicolas Cage, Castor Troy's character, is dead. And there's some information that they need to know. So they take Castor Troy's face and put it on Sean Archer, John Travolta's character. And it's a crazy action flick directed by John Woo. Of course, you get the customary John Woo pigeons flying, but other than that, Face Off is a fun movie. Definitely one that I've always liked and will always continue to like. In 26th place, I'm going with Flight. Denzel Washington plays like a alcoholic pilot, and this plane is about to crash, and he actually flies the plane upside down, where it still crashes, but it crashes where nobody mostly is seriously injured. But then they do tests, and he's got alcohol in his system and drugs, and just a great movie, a great drama suspense with some thrilling moments in it. So Flight, awesome movie by Denzel Washington. In 25th place, I'm going with Fast 5, the best movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise. You get an already good action movie, and they really inject some steroids into it and add Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And it's a really fun movie. I like it quite a bit. How realistic some of the stuff is in the movie, yeah, that's questionable, but still, I like Fast 5. Number 24 is going to be Life Was Like a Box of Chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks, Sally Field, amongst other people. A fun drama, some comedy, just a great movie. You already know about Forrest Gump, directed by the great Robert Zemeckis. In 23rd place, another great heist movie with Ben Affleck, The Town. Jeremy Renner's in this, Blake Lively, John Hamm, who was in Mad Men. Just a great drama, thriller, some action, robberies, baseball, Fenway Park. They try to rob the money that's at Fenway Park. Just a great Ben Affleck movie. I believe, if memory serves me, this is also directed by Ben Affleck. I think. Yes, directed by Ben Affleck as well. I don't know why I had to look that up. I already knew it was directed by Ben Affleck, but I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to give any misinformation and have people call me fake news. In 22nd place, X-Men Days of Future Past. You get Hugh Jackman, you get Patrick Stewart, you get Ian McKellen, you get James McAvoy, you get Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence. Just a great movie to kind of make the X-Men franchise even better. My favorite movie of that year when it came out. I just love X-Men Days of Future Past. So with me being a big X-Men fan, of course, I'm going to have that high on my list. And then number 21 is going to be Olympus Has Fallen with Gerard Butler, Morgan Freeman. Basically, the White House, terrorists take over the White House, and you have this former Secret Service agent, played by Gerard Butler, named Mike Banning, who has to save the day. And he is a badass. Now, how it's a little unrealistic that one guy could do as much damage as he does, but it's still a lot of fun and kind of traumatic when I saw it in theater. Like, it was just like awe-inspiring to see these moments happen on the big screen. So Olympus Has Fallen, definitely my 21st. In 20th place, I'm going with a drama from 2013, Prisoners, with Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Terrence Howard, Paul Dano, Viola Davis, about daughters get kidnapped, and there's really nothing the cops are doing, but one detective is kind of looking into things. And Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard, mainly Hugh Jackman, take matters into their own hand. And there's this suspect that's not all there. He's a little cuckoo, and they torture him, Paul Dano, who of course was Riddler and the new Batman movie. What a great movie. A little slow at times, but man, Prisoners is awesome. Coming in 19th place, 1999's hit, The Matrix. Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss. Just a great action sci-fi movie that kind of changed the way movies happen. Number 18, The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, Jaden Smith, about a guy who's down in his luck and everything seems to go wrong, but he keeps on fighting, and he's trying to find the pursuit of happiness. Love this movie. I just rewatched it like a month ago. Coming in 17th place, a really hilarious spoof comedy, and that would be Scary Movie. If you're a Scream fan, You've gotta like Scary Movie. Special Officer Doofy is hilarious. Just really hilariously over the top, funny, spoofing the Scream franchise, amongst other franchises, but Scream is like basically the main one they spoof. In 16th place, I'm going with the 2004 Dawn of the Dead. I really like these characters because I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead, and this seems like a Walking Dead movie to me. You have Ving Rhames in it, Sarah Polley, just a good cast of characters during a zombie apocalypse where it's fast-running zombies and they're a real threat. So they kind of shack up in a mall. It's a remake of the George Romero one, but I think this one's done a lot better in my opinion. Coming in 15th place, I just talked about Scary Movie and what it spoofs. The 1996 Scream. Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, Henry Winkler. Scream is a classic. I just don't like it as much as a certain movie in the franchise, but I mean, you can't go wrong with Scream. Why am I showing the Blu-ray? I have the 4K. For some reason, I grabbed the Blu-ray. I think because all the people are on the box. That's why. Or the case, the plastic case. You even have Drew Barrymore in the movie. For a little bit. She's on the cover and then isn't in the movie very long. But Scream, awesome movie. Number 14, an action movie that I love to rewatch. I love the cast of this movie, and that would be Con Air. We have Nicolas Cage, John Malkovich, Ving Rhames, John Cusack, Steve Buscemi, Monica Potter's in it. Danny Trejo. Just a good cast of criminals where this guy that was in prison, but he was defending his wife's honor, has to take a plane ride. The convicts take control of the plane, and Nicolas Cage's character, Cameron Poe, has to save the fucking day. Just a great, fun movie. Although I think Nicolas Cage might be the most annoying part of this movie, but John Malkovich is just hilarious in the movie. Just an evil character too. Number 13 for me is The Martian, a movie that I always rewatch. You have Matt Damon in the movie. He's predominantly the movie. Jessica Chastain, Michael Pena, also in it. Jeff Daniels. It's just a great movie about an astronaut, Mark Watley, that's stranded on Mars because they think he died, so they leave him there, and he has to find out how to survive on Mars for years without a rescue mission. And he has to find a way to connect with NASA and talk to them when everybody else left. It's just a great movie. Love The Martian. Starting to talk more about the movies because these are movies I really, really like. Number 12 for me is going to be Van Wilder. Ryan Reynolds, Tara Reid. Just a fun rom-com-ish. I don't know if it's necessarily a romantic comedy, but it explores a romantic relationship in the movie. Kyle Penn is in it. It's just hilarious. I love Van Wilder. Not everybody has seen Van Wilder. Everybody likes Ryan Reynolds from Deadpool, but I think Ryan Reynolds is just as good in Van Wilder, so check it out if you haven't. And coming in 11th place, I'm going with another Nicolas Cage movie, National Treasure. You have Benjamin Patrick Gates, who has to try to take the Declaration of Independence to avoid his friend, Sean Bean's character, Ian, from doing the same. Justin Bartha's in it. You have Harvey Keitel. Just a fun adventure movie. It's kind of like Indiana Jones, but a more tame Indiana Jones, but I think this one's done better. My opinion, but I love National Treasure, and that's why I'm putting it in 11th place. I finally got into my top 10, and coming in 10th place, I'm going with The Tomorrow War, which is a Prime exclusive, and this is a bootleg version of it on Blu-ray. It still works great. To my knowledge, they have never released it on physical media. I'm hoping they do at some point so I can get a 4K version or even a real standard Blu-ray version of it, but I like it. It's an action sci-fi film with Chris Pratt, Yvonne Strahovski, who played Hannah in Dexter, and of course J.K. Simmons, and it's fun. I could see, though, in the future that this falls down out of my top 10, but as of this moment, it's my number 10. In 9th place, for me, a sci-fi classic, which my classics are like 80s or, newer, or some people's classics are like 1940s, 1950s, but my number 9 is Independence Day. You've got Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Randy Quaid. Just a fun, great action sci-fi film, and I watch it every 4th of July. I don't know if this movie will ever fall out of my top 10 because I have a special connection to it, but as of this moment, Independence Day is my number 9. Coming in 8th place for me, another Scorsese film for me, and that would be The Departed, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg. Just a great drama in showing corruption in the police force. A great movie. At times it's a little slow though, but I still love it, and that's why The Departed is my number 8. Coming in 7th place, which I actually made a change and made this move down where it was in the top 5, is going to be The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. Great performance by Heath Ledger. Of course, you have Christian Bale, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and it's just a great movie, but I find it drags toward the end, and it's so good. Great performances. Aaron Eckhart is Two-Face / Harvey Dent. I just had to move it down a little bit because I don't like to rewatch it as much as other movies. So that's why The Dark Knight, a classic movie, is number 7. Coming in 6th place for me, another Martin Scorsese film, The Wolf of Wall Street, with Leonardo DiCaprio, Margot Robbie, who is beautiful in the movie. What a fucking crazy movie this is. It even has Jonah Hill in it, and I actually like him to a degree in the movie. This movie is awesome. It's wild. It's crazy. Leonardo DiCaprio should have won an Oscar for playing Jordan in this movie, but I love it. And Margot Robbie in the movie, so that's why it's my number 6. I moved this up, actually. My number 5 is a movie that I really want to put in number 1 spot even. I love this freaking movie so much. I talk about it all the time, and that would be Passengers with Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence, Lawrence Fishburne. A great movie set in the future with them traveling to the new homestead planet. It's just a lot of fun. I endlessly rewatched this movie. I just rewatched it back at the end of May, and I'm sure I'll watch it a couple more times this year. And Passengers is a great action drama, and that's why it's my number 5. Number 4 for me, and T. Parker Evans will be happy about this one, is going to be Scream 2. I love Scream 2. It's so good. I think this was the first Scream movie I saw in the theater, and I was really into the movie and couldn't figure out who was behind all this stuff. Now, if I watched this now for the first time, I would probably figure most of it out. But when I saw it, when it came out in 97, I've loved this movie ever since. And I even moved it up a spot in my ranking. So Scream 2, number 4. Coming in 3rd place for me, used to be my all-time favorite movie, Demolition Man. Got the poster right up there. You've got Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock. You also have Benjamin Bratt, Dennis Leary, amongst other people in the movie. Just a fun action sci-fi film that I feel like it still holds up. I just recently rewatched it in the month of July, or maybe it was late June. It's still a classic to me. I love it. I'm a big Stallone fan. So Demolition Man, my favorite Stallone movie, and my 3rd favorite movie of all time. In 2nd place, I'm going with The Dark Knight Rises. Over The Dark Knight? I feel like The Dark Knight Rises is more entertaining. I like Anne Hathaway a whole hell of a lot more than I like Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think Tom Hardy as Bane is just as good as Heath Ledger. Not better than Heath Ledger as Joker, but just as good. Aside from the annoying voice, Mr. Wayne. But I freaking love The Dark Knight Rises. I love the whole conclusion aspect of the movie, and that's why it's my number 2. So, my favorite movie of all time, as it stands right now, and I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that I saw it in the theater, and my theater experience, which all these movies I saw in the theater, except for the Tomorrow War and others, my number 1 is going to be Avengers Endgame. This movie is crazy. I'm not the hugest fan of the MCU universe. I mean, it's got good moments, but I don't go crazy over these movies. But this one, I had to go crazy. This is an awesome movie with an awesome cast, awesome moments in this movie. Avengers Assemble. Everybody comes back. I guess that's a spoiler, but I'm sure you've seen it if you're planning on seeing it by now. But Avengers Endgame is my number one. So there you have it. Those are my top 100 movies of all time. Figured I would do that for my birthday. And every year on my birthday, I try to do a video that's kind of tells people about me. Not sure what next year's video will be. Maybe I'll update my TV shows of all time or something like that. I'm sure I'll do that before then, but who knows. But, thank you for watching this. If you even watched, 5 minutes of it, I appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts. If you're a fan of J.TV and you like the content I put out, whether it be, movie franchise rankings, whether it be UFC fight reactions, TV show reviews, or random lists or rankings that I do, like my favorite movies of all time, make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are. If you have a list or a video of your own and you want to share it in the comment section, I'll check it out unless I get overwhelmed by millions of people, which I highly doubt it. But hey, I'd be all for it. Remember, I'll put my Venmo in the description if you want to contribute to my Have a Happy Birthday Fund. No pressure. If you don't have the money, don't worry about it all. If I could get 8 people to donate like $15, that would pay for the next UFC fight. So I look at it that way. If you want to help me out, make me have an even more happier birthday, that would be appreciated, but not a requirement by any means. I'll put my links to my Instagram as well as my Letterboxd account in the description as well. And then last but certainly not least, I'll also put random video suggestions up here, and here. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDevTV.